Hi, welcome to my masterclass on how to get the most out of your rapid prep mandolin. When we did the live class, it was so fun because we had people from every level. We had some people who were using their rapid prep mandolins all the time, and we had some who'd never taken it out of the box or maybe had used it once and it didn't work the way they thought it would, and so they were kind of afraid to touch it again. Wherever you are on that scale, I hope that this little class will give you some extra tips and some help. If you are one of those people that have got this, you ordered it, it came, and then you said, I don't know how to put it together, I just don't know what to do with it. So again, I hope this will help you with any of the questions you've had. And of course, if you think of something that I don't cover in this class, please reach back to me and just ask me the question. I'd be happy to help you. There is actually something that came up during the live class that I'm going to show you that we solved on the spot, or pretty much on the spot, and I'm more than happy to do the same for you as needed. Alrighty, so when you got your mandolin, you may have put it all together. You maybe even figured out how to put it on so that it stores nice and neatly in your cupboard. And so if you didn't get that far, just know that to pop it off and pop it back on, there's a little lip on the edge of this bin that the side of your mandolin kind of grabs onto. So you're just going to push it down and it'll hold everything, slide neatly into your cupboard or drawer, wherever you store it. And then I find it to be easiest to just kind of push this in a little bit to release that latch and take your mandolin off. So your mandolin has three parts. It's got obviously the mandolin itself, it's got your hopper with the pusher, and it's got the container that collects all the stuff as you slice it. And this is actually one of my favorite parts of the mandolin because your food doesn't go flying all over the counter or the table, whatever you're working on. So the place that most people get stuck with their new mandolin are the dials on the back. So let's talk about what these dials do. The top dial is going to give you the option of doing a flat slice, a wide cut, or a narrow cut. Did I say that backwards? I'm sorry. A narrow cut and then a wide cut. So flat, like you're doing scalloped potatoes or you're slicing an onion or a tomato. Narrow cut. Did I say it backwards again? Yes. No. Narrow cut. So maybe shoestring potatoes or matchstick carrots, which I'll show you here in a minute. Wide cut is going to give you those great French fries. And I'm going to show you a trick for a bell pepper as well. So the top is going to give you your vertical cuts, if you think of it that way. The bottom is going to give you the thickness of your cut. So it goes everything from 0 millimeters to 8 millimeters just by turning the dial, okay? And then you'll see there's two little pictures, one at the 8 and the other is at the 4. And that is just to give you a little hint as to where you're going to want this dial to be for those matchstick potatoes or carrots that I'll show you in a minute, or more traditional sized French fries. You're going to want it at the big one. Okay, so those are just guides. They are not like do this or else. They're just guides. They're to give you an idea of where you're going to want that dial set to get the perfect cut. Okay, so hopefully that clears up some of the mystery on this, because to me that was the most intimidating part. When I first got this in my kitchen, I was like, that's a lot of dials and I don't know what to do with them. So honestly, I even put it aside for a little bit when it first came out until I had time to kind of figure this all out. But now you've been told, so you don't even have to figure it out on your own. And again, if you have a question at this point, shoot me a text or drop it in the comments on the YouTube channel here, and I'll be happy to get back to you on that. Okay, so it has, of course, the leg to kind of stand on, and you're going to want to put that on your counter or your table. I've got it on a cutting board, and then this just fits in like so. So one thing you're going to notice is this notchy side is going to go up against those dials. Okay, so that's how to know which way to put it in. And then you've got a handle on this side, which is useful for when you're going to take it off. And then on this piece, you've got your cover here that is protecting the slicing mechanism, protecting you from the slicing mechanism, basically. So whenever you have this up, and this just locks and unlocks by turning it, you'll see there's little indicators here, locked or unlocked. If this is up it's a good idea to have this closed, except for when you're cleaning it, which I'll explain in a minute. So we're gonna go ahead and lock that back down. This green lever here, you can see it, is going to release that plate. And then it's also going to hold your hopper in place. So you're going to take the hopper, and you can see there's teeth on one edge. Those are going to go up against the base here, and I like to just pull the green lever. It'll pop in if you push it, but rather than put the strain on the plastic, I just pull the green lever and pop it in, and you'll feel it. And you do kind of want to just make sure it's in there good and tight, okay? So what makes this different from your standard mandolin of the past is rather than your hand going back and forth over the blade is going to go back and forth over your food. So we're going to put the food in the hopper here, and then we're going to push the blade up and down against it. And that's the big difference, and that's a huge safety advantage. So let's start with some potatoes. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you might do your potatoes. And I'm going to actually show you one of the tricks that came up in our live demo that we solved that I'm pretty excited about. So you're gonna get all the good stuff here. So if you're going to do just like scallop potatoes or maybe fried potatoes, we like to do the thick fried potatoes sometimes, especially if I'm making like kielbasa or something. You're going to decide your thickness. Again, on this back dial, the bottom dial is the thickness, the top dial is the type of cut. So because I'm going to do scallop or just fried potatoes or just basic cut, I've got it on the oval, the solid oval at top, and I'm starting down at the thickest cut just so you can see how this works. For this kind of a potato cut, I like to actually cut the potato in half before putting it into the hopper. It just gives you a cleaner start. You don't have to, but for me, it just makes sense, and I find that it gives a flat cut from the very beginning. Your potato's not in here wobbling, okay? And now this is how quickly this will work. Once you have your potato in, you're gonna put your, there's no name for this, I can't think of what it is, but it pushes the food down. Maybe it's called the food pusher. And then we're gonna just push this up and down. And here are our sliced potatoes, just like so. And you can see they're really thick, okay? So it's an 8mm cut. Now I would use that for maybe some fried potatoes, and probably not for scalloped. For scalloped potatoes, I want it real thin. So for scalloped potatoes, I'm gonna put the dial down to like 2, because I like them really, really thin. And we're gonna, again, do this. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if my chef hubby was standing next to me with his chef's knife, which is actually my chef's knife, and slicing potatoes for scalloped potatoes, he could not do it this quickly. And look how beautiful, thin, sliced they are. So they're just perfect. So this is a 2mm cut. And over here we had the 8mm cut. So you can see the significant difference in thickness. So again, you can go thinner than that, you can go thicker than that, you can play around with it, see what you like, and decide what is gonna work best for you. So let's talk about French fries, because a lot of times people purchase this because they want the French fries, they want to be able to make their fries. And so let's talk about how to do that. With a French fry, and by the way, I've got my peeled potatoes over here in a bowl of cold water. You can actually peel your potatoes, put them in cold water, and keep them in your fridge for a couple of days, and they're ready to go. You don't have to do it right at the last minute. Maybe you've got a big function happening, or you just want to prep the night before for Sunday brunch or whatever. You can peel your potatoes, put them in cold water, and then put them in the fridge, and they'll stay nice and white. So I actually have some containers with cold water that I'm putting the sliced ones in, so I can use these later for our various meals over the next couple days. So for the French fries, I'm going to do the thick cut one because that's the one most people love. So we're turning the top dial to the thicker slice and the bottom dial back to 8. So we get a nice fat French fry. This time we're not going to cut the potato in half. We're going to leave it whole, and we're going to push it, lay it in as flat as we can, because I want those nice long French fries. And this will take a pretty good sized potato. If it won't lay perfectly flat, just lay it as flat as you can. It will go through and you'll get your French fries one way or the other. So again, I've got it set at 8. I've got it set for the thick cut on the top dial, and we're just going to do our French fries. And here they are, just ready to go. Perfect cut French fries. Love it so much. So those are going in a separate thing of water because I actually am going to throw those in my air fryer tonight. I have a terrible feeling my audio is going in and out with my AirPods, so hopefully this is working. We're gonna find out later, I guess. Okay, so those are our fat cut fries. Now, one of our live feed participants, she had bought this specifically to make cubed potatoes for a special soup recipe that I think is a family heirloom. And she was saying how it's just so much work to cube all those potatoes for the recipe. So she was hoping to find a quicker way to do that. And what she was finding was that she could get the French fries like these, but then she still had to take a knife and cube them. And that was an extra step she was hoping to avoid. Well, we came up with a solution for her that I am super excited to share with you. So you remember those 8mm cut potatoes I did a minute ago? I'm going to put them back into the hopper, and I'm going to put them so that this narrow edge is pushed up against the blade. Okay? And I got to think about this for a minute. Yes, that is what we wanted. Okay, I just had that moment of, did I do this right? Yes, so let me just start this over so I can fix the... So you remember these thick cut potatoes that I sliced up a few minutes ago. So I've just put them all kind of together in a stack, and we're going to lay them in the hopper, and we're going to lay them so that the flat side of the potato is against here. And I just kind of got them stacked in here. Ideally, I would have a full hopper. I don't, but this should work. I still have it on that French fry cut. So 8mm thickness and the French fry narrow or vertical cut. Okay, so now I'm gonna just do this. And it's not working as well because I don't have a full hopper. Well, this didn't work quite as perfectly as it did the other night, but you can see now I have diced potatoes just like that. With a full hopper, it's gonna work so much better. But you get the idea. And she was elated. This was such a huge, will be a huge time saver for her. The trick is just having those thick cut potatoes in the wedges, actually they're more like discs. Having the discs in here. Laying flat, using the food pusher, but not pushing it too hard if this is not full. And that was my mistake on the first cut. But you saw how the rest of them came out so beautifully. So just remember, this is kind of meant to hold your food. It's not meant to force the food through. You shouldn't ever have to force it. It's really more just meant to hold it. That's why it's got little teeth on the bottom to hold this in place. All right, so I told you I was going to show you a trick with a red pepper. So I would not get this out just to do this particular task. I would use my quick slicer first. But if I had this out because I was already slicing potatoes or what have you, I would definitely use it for this task if I needed it done. And this is how you can dice your pepper super quickly with your Rapid Prep Mandolin. So I'm just cutting off the side, getting the seeds out, and I'm just going to show you one piece for now. But again, I'm just going to lay it in here. I've got it set for that French fry setting. So again, it's on 8 with the fat vertical cut on the top dial. And again, food pusher. This did not work perfectly because of course I'm making a video, but you can see now I have basically diced red peppers. So again, that's just another really quick use for that. It came out much prettier the other night. You know what I think I did different the other night though? I think the other night I cut the pepper in half. So it started with a flat edge. Remember what I was talking about with the potato a minute ago? So let's just try that. I need all of this cut anyway. So let's try if it starts with a flat edge, so because it slipped as it was going through because it was kind of wobbly. Oh, and look at that. I could even put 2 of them in with that edge already flat. Okay, let's see. Oh, yes. Oh, that came out perfect. So there we go. Diced peppers, just like that. Now again, I liken the Rapid Prep Mandolin to the multitude of saws in my husband's workshop and shed. When my husband and I give up housekeeping in hopefully another 40, 50 years, I'm thinking, the children are going to have to go through my clothes and his tools. Oh my goodness. He has so many tools out there, and so many of them are one use. So he has a circular saw. I can tell you right now, he does not use that every day. In fact, he does not use it every week. In fact, he doesn't use it every month. But when he needs a circular saw, because it's the right tool for the job, he has it. That's how I look at things like the Rapid Prep Mandolin. You might use this every day, but chances are you might not. But when you are making scalloped potatoes, or you want to make French fries, or you're doing a lot of food prep. I was at an event the other night where there was a big vegetable platter and literally probably 10 or 12 cucumbers sliced that could have been done, again, with this so quickly and easily. Zucchini sliced, all these vegetables that have been sliced that could have been done so much more quickly with a mandolin. And actually one of the other people who was on live the other night, she was telling the story of how her daughter had this to make the vegetable trays for her wedding. And so the mom was like, I have to get one. And so that's how she ended up with her Rapid Prep Mandolin. So it really is a huge time saver for every night, every day kind of cooking, like making French fries, but also if you're doing a big event, or maybe you can, and you're slicing a ton of pickles for your cucumbers, or I'm sorry, cucumbers for your pickles. My husband does that. So things like that. It's just a huge time saver. All right, let's talk about matchstick. So I'm going to use the carrot to show you how the matchstick works. And I do like to cut it into sizable chunks. You don't have to. I just like to. I'm going to set this to the skinny, which is around 4, and the top knob to the skinny. Vertical cut. Put my carrots in here. Again, you're going to want to, well, actually these I might want to do this way. I do. They're a little harder. That was not one of my more impressive workouts there. Let's try that one. You know why? Because I had them jammed in there so tight they just didn't want to go through. That was the problem. So learn from me, don't put too many in at one time. All right, so here's our matchstick carrots. What do we use these for in my house? Salads, stir fry. Those two things right there. Salads every day at my house. Stir fry a couple times a month. And again, if I needed a whole bunch or I just want to do a lot of food prep, they are perfect. And I've run out of containers here. Guess I didn't plan that very well. Just use a lid for now. So just to give you the side-by-side comparison, this is our matchstick carrot. This is our, so that's a 4mm cut. This is our 8mm French fry cut. And of course you could do your potatoes in the matchstick if that's what you prefer. I know a lot of people like those skinny fries. Makes me think of back in the day when my daughter was in college and she would bring home Steak and Shake and they had skinny fries. All right, let's talk about things like onions and tomatoes. So you need sliced onions for your burger bar or what have you. Again, I do cut off the ends. Pop it in here with the flat side up against the blade. Want to make sure it's on the plain cut. We don't want French fries, onions. Although You know, I'm going to try this out while we're doing this. Although, you probably could get your diced onions using that other cut. So we're going to cut this in half just to spare the onion. Let's see what we can do here. So I want thin cut onions. I'm going to put it on like a 3. My husband likes them cut real thin like that for burgers and for things like French onion soup. So again, there's our sliced onions. Ta-da! They're done. But say I want diced onions, and I've already got this baby out because I was, you know, doing whatever. We're going to put it back at 8, and we're going to put that top dial back over at the French fry setting, and let's see what happens. I think this is going to work. Oh, it does. Yep, so there we go. So now they're not perfectly diced, but if I was making super stew, that would be good enough in my book. All right, one last thing to show you, and we're going to be done. And that is the ever popular question, will it slice tomatoes? So it is going to need to be a relatively small tomato to fit into this hopper, and just be aware of that your big beefsteak tomatoes, this is probably not going to be the answer. But if you have smaller tomatoes or cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes, I actually put grape tomatoes through it in the live class, that works really well. So you can do whatever works for you. You are going to want to make sure you've taken the core out with your paring knife. Just that little top piece is all you need out. And then again, it just needs to be able to fit in the hopper, and this one barely does. So this may not be the most impressive, but I do want you to see how sharp these blades are. Oh my goodness. This is just mind-blowing. Look at that beautiful tomato cut. It's just beautiful. So again, it will do your tomatoes, provided they're small enough to fit into the hopper. That's the only thing you need to be careful on. Okay, so let's talk about cleaning your Rapid Prep Mandolin. It comes with this little cleaning brush. This will help you get this ready to go in your dishwasher because all of the pieces are dishwasher safe. The other thing I want to make sure you also know is that all of these pieces that come off are also replaceable. So if something gets thrown in the trash by mistake, or you drop the bin and it cracks, or anything that happens to these pieces that come off, we can get you just the replacement part. So you're not going to have to, you know, just throw the whole thing out or anything. Don't ever throw out a Pampered Chef product without checking with me first, because a lot of times we can just get a part, or it might still be under warranty, and I hate to see you lose something that we could have easily replaced. So just keep that in mind with any of your Pampered Chef products, and know that these in particular are replaceable. Okay, so to put it in your dishwasher, what I recommend you do is take the cleaning brush or something like it and just get in here and brush through under running water. It's going to work better than what I'm showing you. My husband was actually asking me about this the other day. He's like, how do you clean this thing? I said, well, it actually cleans out pretty well with this little guy, and then you can just lay it in your dishwasher. Now, for the sake of getting it clean, I do recommend that you carefully push the blade down and make sure there's nothing stuck in here as well, okay? Then lock the blade in place, close this, maybe do that in the other order, and you can put it in your dishwasher. You can also put it in the dishwasher completely open. Whoops, I'm doing that backwards. Like this. You can do it this way as well, and it should get completely clean. So again, just put that down, lay it in your dishwasher, top rack, dishwasher safe, bottom rack if you aren't using your heating element. And what I would recommend is just make sure it's somewhere where the water's gonna hit it pretty good, okay? Because that can make such a big difference, not just for this, but anything in your dishwasher. If it needs special attention, make sure it's where the water's gonna hit it most regularly. Okay, so super easy to clean. My husband, the chef, loves this thing. He is always, you know, kind of where I decide, okay, is this a great product or is this just an okay product, is whether the chef approves. And the chef definitely approves of this mandolin and has used it on many occasions. I would say actually he's used it more than any of his power tools out in the garage, but don't tell him I told you that. All right, well, I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions about your Mandolin or any other Pampered Chef product that is maybe sitting in the back of your cupboard and not getting used because either you forgot why you bought it or you can't figure it out and you just gave up, no shame. Text me, ask me. I'm here to help. I love being your Pampered Chef consultant. Hope this was helpful again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.